he came in a tough situation. It's almost coming into a relationship where you already have a girlfriend, and a new girl comes in because Jose was already here. And Kyle and I, we've had this frank conversation. Matter of fact, we talked about it yesterday before he left. And, Jose was already here. We already understood. Jose knew the system. He knew the calls. Kyle came in trying to learn them. And Kyle is a very prideful man, and it should be. But it was already, Jose and I had already established an understanding. Jose and I, believe it or not, didn't see eye to eye either. There was times when Jose would say, no, we need to do it. No. So it was always, I think that's a typical relationship between a coach and a point guard. But, so Kyle came into that situation kind of second fiddle, and if you know Kyle, he's not a second fiddle kind of guy. So, but again, it grew from that. Once Jose was traded, it got closer. He understood what we were doing. I understood what he was going to do in certain situations, trusted him. That trust built. He trusted me that I was telling him the right information. And is it always going to be perfect? No. There's no head coach out there that I've been around that's always been perfect. But it has grown, and it's still growing with that, because I think Kyle is growing as a man, as a father, as a husband. I think outside of basketball, that's where, excuse me, we were at Rudy's wedding last summer and spent time there. I thought that was valuable, seeing him away from basketball, spending time with him away from basketball. So all those relationships and time and understanding helps in all relationships. And that's where I feel like going in the future, it's even going to be better.
Nathan, in the back.
Thanks. Nathan Downer from CP24. This is for the general manager, Masai. What can you tell us about this deal? We're hearing it's 3 years. We're assuming it's a raise?
It's a what?
A raise?
A raise. I think we leave that. We've agreed in principle, and Dwane agreed to the deal, so I think it's a good deal.
There's this rumor swirling about a potential signing of Vince Carter.
Mm-hmm.
What might a guy like him bring to a young team?
He's still a property of another team, so I can't comment. Obviously, we're going to go through all that whole process with our team, with the front office staff, and I want to commend them too. They've done from Jeff to Bobby, Teresa, Dan, all these guys. The analytics guys, I think they're always right. They've done an unbelievable job. I really commend them. But this is our time to work now. And that whole process of the draft, free agency, we have to go through it. And there are going to be tons of names that we're going to look at. For me, there's not going to be any crazy decision here made. There's no quick fix. We're a growing team, and we're going to grow gradually. I really don't care what the expectations are. The way to build in the situation we're in is to continue to give our young players the opportunity to try and draft well, and whichever players we sign, we make sure we sign. Figure out the right players to sign. So I can't really comment on that, but we're going to go through a thorough process.
Michael, down here.
I can hear you, man. You got a voice.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead, Joseph.
Joseph Kashar. Oh,
okay. Joseph in the back. Go ahead, please.
Joseph Kashar, the score. Coach, you mentioned after Game 7 that as a coach, you yourself can get better. It's not just players that can get better. We know how players can spend their summers trying to get better. How exactly does a coach go about trying to get better in his day-to-day job?
As I usually do, I'll go through every game, every tough game we had, every tough situation we had, analyze it, overanalyze it, see what we can do better in all those situations. I think as a coach, you do that. I second-guess myself anyway, but in those situations, could we have run a different play? Could we have had a different defensive scheme? Could we have had different personnel on the floor? All those things you go back and look at and evaluate and grow from that. And believe me, there's not a coach in this league, I don't care how many leagues, Pop will tell you, he grows after every season also. So that's on, I do it every year, but even more so this year, of how I can get better in those situations, how we as a staff can get better. you know, of whether it's a new scheme, but teaching methods. How can I get Jonas to understand better? How can I get Terrence to understand better, or Steve Novak, or whatever, communication skills, whatever it is, to try to get us that one more point, that 2 more points, or whatever it is, and to continue to grow. So that's the key, and I've challenged our whole staff to do that, and as well as the players. So I do it every year, but even more so this year, I think with a growing team, that's even more important.
Gahal on the right side.
Carl Kelly, Globe and Mail. Dwane, Kyle talked yesterday about that 10 days or so after the Rudy Gay trade, when it seemed like he might be dealt and the team might be disassembled, and how amazing it was where it had ended up. Can you walk us through emotionally from where you were in that moment to right now?
Well, it's like I told Kyle, and Masai was straightforward with everybody on the team. You know, this is a business. You know, you guys are here now, but nobody's guaranteed anything. You know, I'll tell you if something's going to happen, and if it happens, you'll be the first to know. Your agent will be first to know. So there was no secret. So Kyle understood the business of basketball. He had seen Rudy be moved, but he kept his head. To Kyle's credit, he was strong. He was smart about it. We communicated about how you've got to play. You know, not only if you're going to play for us, you're also auditioning for 29 other teams. So motivate him in that way also. But he was great under those circumstances. His name was in the paper. Kyle had nothing, and Masai was not adding anything to it. It was all coming from your side and the media, more so to speak, every day. It was something, headlines, and mostly out of New York. So he was reading that every day, but he handled it as a pro. And that's the same way I advise all the players. If your name is in the newspaper, that means you're doing something good, you know, if they're talking about you. So continue to do that. Be a pro. It's a business. And, you know, and I thought all of our young guys handled it tremendously, especially right after the Rudy trade. But again, you know, it was started with Masai being straightforward with players, honest with the guys. It wasn't like it was a total shock that if it had, you know, that it was already out there. But they knew.
Michael?
Masai, if it sounds like you're committed to going forward with a young group at the top of your rotation, what would you like to alter or tinker with throughout your rotation? You got Tyler Hansborough and John Solomons, I think, are both guys with buyouts in their contracts. What do you see yourself doing on that front?
Again, we're going to go through the process as a team, I think, and a staff, and with our coaching staff, find out, you know, what we need to get better at. I think we have, we've painted a picture a little bit. Do we add a bigger wing? Do we have add a shot blocker? Do some things that we feel we could get better, but. No decision has been made. You know, like we thought all our players had good value for us and played well at times, and sometimes, you know, it was, especially on the bench, it was one guy or the other. So I think we're going to evaluate that situation and figure out who we feel helps us going forward, or if we need to add a couple guys.